Right now, mounting problems for a West Side apartment complex a day after a portion of it collapsed.
And remember last week's one-vote margin in the race for McFarland Village president? Well, tonight they tell us they found an unopened ballot.
Plus, Columbia County's recently appointed district attorney abruptly resigns today. We'll tell you why.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We are learning more about the work that caused an apartment on Madison's southwest side to partially collapse yesterday afternoon.
Today, the city of Madison said the demolition crews did not have a permit. Amy Reed spoke to the city, and she joins us now with the latest. Amy?
People at the city are still scratching their heads. They're trying to figure out what happened here and who's responsible. The day after fire trucks and waiting residents filled the parking lot outside Summit Hill Apartments, tape still surrounds the building, and a police officer makes sure no one goes inside. The structure was deemed unsafe for residents to stay in after construction crews knocked down a load-bearing wall and 4 units collapsed. Today, we learned from the city the workers did not have a permit. George Hank with Building Inspection is almost at a loss for words.
Seeing pictures of the damage, and kind of identifying, it's fairly obvious that the joists were going this way, and, we were kind of trying to figure out how they missed it.
We reached out to the management company, RMK Management, to figure that out. According to Madison City Ordinance, the building owners are the ones responsible for getting the permit, but as part of a statement, they said the Summit Hill management team was not aware of any potential permitting issues with this renovation. We're committed to using reputable local contractors that are licensed in Madison and have been vetted by the city. As the operator, we'll continue to work with all parties involved to ensure work is completed safely in accordance with local ordinances. Later, they said they hired Meyer Painting and Drywall, though when we called, the company denied being at this property yesterday. Residents are still not allowed back inside until a private engineer says the building is safe. Until then, RMK Management said they're putting people up at a nearby hotel. City Building Inspection doesn't know if the apartment can be fixed or will have to be rebuilt. They're still just trying to comprehend.
I've been in this business for 36 years now. Never in my wildest dreams would I think about removing something like this without clearly identifying that it's not a load-bearing wall.
Hank told me there wasn't anything wrong with the building before this, so nearby complexes shouldn't have to worry. He also said if you see work being done, maybe at your apartment, and you're ever worried, you can always give the Building Inspection Division a call to make sure they have a permit.
Amy, thank you. A federal judge has ordered that an Ohio man charged with lying to federal agents about being a child who went missing after a trip to Wisconsin Dells continues to be held without bond. The judge says she is considering 23-year-old Brian Reaney a flight risk because of a long criminal history, mental health issues, and a lack of a permanent address. Reaney was charged last week after DNA tests proved he was not Timothy Pitson, the Aurora, Illinois child who disappeared back in 2011 at the age of 6. A preliminary hearing for Reaney is scheduled for April 19th. A judge has ordered a $1 million cash bond for the man accused of killing his wife in Wisconsin Dells last week. Fuad Pashayev made his first appearance from the jail via video conference. He's now facing life in prison for the homicide of Tanya Hushva. Her body was found by police Thursday, but we now know she had been killed about 5 days earlier. She is not a citizen of the United States, so if he makes bail, he must surrender his passport.
An unopened absentee ballot could change the results of the McFarland Village president election that was decided by just one vote. The absentee ballot was only recently found unopened and uncounted. The village administrator said the election results are currently up for reconsideration. In the race for McFarland Village president, Brad Zaboter beat Carolyn Clough by just one vote last week, meaning this one vote could change the results of the election. The acting Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security is leaving the department. It marks the latest top-ranking DHS official to leave. Claire Grady was going to be the next in line to replace Kirsten Nielsen, who resigned on Sunday. Tonight's development paves the way for President Trump's pick of Kevin McAleenan to lead DHS in an acting capacity. The Defense Department has awarded nearly $1 billion in contracts to build President Trump's much sought-after border wall. The completion date for these projects is October 2020. A $789 million contract was awarded to the Texas-based company for construction of the wall in New Mexico. A second $187 million contract was awarded to the Montana-based company for work in Arizona. The contracts were awarded by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
An alert day has been added to the forecast as a wintry storm moves for Wisconsin. Meteorologist Dana Fulton with the very latest in our news center.
We're keeping an eye right now on all the cloud coverage building into southern Wisconsin. No moisture just yet, but it is on the way. Right now we have showers in Iowa and into northern Illinois. And that line of showers is going to continue to push towards us. And by tomorrow morning, the southwest corner of the state will be waking up to that mixed precipitation. Today, we hit a high of 66 with sun in the sky. Unfortunately, we will not get a repeat of this forecast for quite a few days for us. Right now, it's about 42 in Madison, a little warmer to the southwest corner of the state where the cloud coverage just a little thicker, about 54 in Platteville right now and 55 in Prairie du Chien. Now, wind speeds anywhere from 6 to 15 miles per hour expected for us tonight, coming from the northeast. So it is going to be a bit of a breezy evening, and we are planning on, again, this cloud coverage to stay with us as we head into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, the focus is going to be on the rain and snow moving on in. That may bring a little bit of snow accumulation in the afternoon and early evening. So we do have alert days in the forecast for Wednesday and also for Thursday because of the rain and thunderstorm potential in the afternoon and early evening. We're going to take a closer look at the timing of this event and those accumulation totals in just a few minutes.
Dana, thank you. Columbia County is without a district attorney tonight.
Recently appointed DA Tristan Egan abruptly resigned today. Our Keely Arthur followed this story from the start, and she joins us with Egan's reason for leaving. Keely?
Eric and Charlotte Egan turned in her resignation to the State Department of Administration today. In it, she did not mince words, calling Columbia County a, quote, toxic environment. The letter is just one more step in a series of out-of-the-ordinary developments at the DA's office. In February, the Sheriff's Department found alcohol use within the office, and now the county is investigating alleged harassment. Tristan Egan's short-lived time at the Columbia County DA's office coming to a dramatic end Tuesday. The 34-year-old writing, "It is with a heavy heart and great despair that I have rendered my decision in the matter." Egan was appointed by former Governor Scott Walker's administration and assumed the role in January. Her letter alleges a tense relationship between her and county officials from the start, writing, quote, "Weeks prior to taking office, I was met with officials at all levels of Columbia County government who appeared to be attempting to strong-arm my opinion," adding, "When I resisted, my otherwise perfectly functioning office was cast in a negative light." We contacted all of the county's board members to share their side. District 7 Supervisor Craig Robson responded. Egan characterized the county environment as toxic. As a member of the Judiciary Committee that meets regularly with judges, other elected officials, and county employees working in the court system, I am surprised to hear this. On Friday, county leaders began investigating an alleged harassment complaint within her office. District 11 Supervisor Bruce Raschke wrote, "The Columbia County Human Resources Committee found that the complaint of an employee in the district attorney's office had sufficient veracity as to raise grave concern. We recommended further investigation by the governing committee." We stopped by Egan's listed address. She did not answer. Now, in her letter, Egan said she didn't know the nature of the harassment complaint. The county still plans to investigate it.
Keely, thank you.
Madison police say they were able to use DNA evidence to make an arrest in a stolen vehicle crash from last year. A 14-year-old boy is accused of stealing that SUV you just saw there, crashing it at the intersection of Mineral Point and Gammon Road September 25th. According to a release, that driver, well known by police as being a prolific thief when it comes to motor vehicle thefts. The boy has suffered significant injuries in 3 other crashes involving stolen cars, but was not hurt in this particular incident. An update to a major crash overnight on John Nolan Drive. Police say the driver of the car, identified as 33-year-old Joanna Phillips, has now been arrested for a third offense, drunk driving. They say there was also a 10-year-old girl in the vehicle who suffered significant injuries. That crash happened about 3 a.m., closing down the main thoroughfare in both directions for about 4 hours. The vehicle rolled several times and took out a light pole in the center of the road. They say no one was at the scene when they arrived, but later learned a third party took those two to the hospital.
The chairman of the Oneida Nation called on Wisconsin lawmakers to eliminate remaining American Indian high school mascots, protect the environment, and aggressively fight chronic wasting disease. Tahassi Hill spoke today during the annual State of the Tribes address.
I call on this team to continue doing what it does best, building bridges that bring us together to make life in Wisconsin and within our tribal nations better.
Hill said 31 Wisconsin schools still use American Indian mascots, which he says encourages racist behavior. He warned about the effects of climate change and called chronic wasting disease an unprecedented threat to deer, and asked the state to tighten deer farm regulations and devote more funding to research.
Green Bay Packers hit the road as part of their annual week-long tailgate tour to thank fans across the state. This is the organization's 14th year doing this, and they'll be traveling in a customized Packers motor coach. We'll make stops in Marshfield, Sparta, New Richmond, Chippewa Falls, and Antigo, with tailgate parties in each city supporting local nonprofits. A few Packer alumni, including Ryan Grant, Earl Dotson, and Nick Barnett, will be part of this year's lineup. When we come back, Dana tells us how to prepare for the mix of weather coming our way.
And how the state is coming together to support Pyro, the injured police canine. We'll be right back.
Pyro, the Green Bay police canine who was stabbed 3 times by a suspect during a police response earlier this week, is still in critical but stable condition after 2 emergency surgeries. A business called Global Recognition Inc. designed T-shirts for adults and kids that support the department's canine fund. They've already received 750 orders from across the country.
Received just about every state has reached out at this point, and there are individuals all over following the story.
A Facebook fundraiser has already collected more than $30,000 to help pay for the dog's medical bills. The leftover funds will go to buy trauma kits for all 7 K-9 units at the Green Bay Police Department.
The U.S. Justice Department announced today they've broken up a $1.2 billion Medicare scam that pushed unneeded orthopedic braces to hundreds of thousands of senior citizens by way of international call centers. Federal authorities announced charges against 24 people nationwide, including doctors accused of writing false prescriptions for back, shoulder, wrist, and knee braces that were not needed. Owners of call centers, medical equipment companies, and telemedicine firms were also charged. The IRS is expected to receive an unprecedented $14 million request for filing extensions by the tax season deadline on April 15th. Senate lawmakers say it is because the IRS is faced with more tax help questions and more complicated returns because of changes in tax laws. Lawmakers also said the number of extensions was so high, they even considered whether the IRS should move the filing season deadline back.
Bank of America is boosting its minimum wage. The company says it will raise it to $17 an hour May 1st. The bank plans to keep increasing it to a minimum wage of $20 an hour by the year 2021. Other peers in the banking industry had recently raised their minimum wage to $15 an hour in the wake of tax law changes. Gas prices continue to increase nationwide. AAA says the average price of a gallon of regular unleaded gas is now $2.75 a gallon. That's up 11% in just the last month. Prices are highest in California, Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, and Alaska, where the average price is more than $3 a gallon. Analysts blame the price hikes on unplanned refinery maintenance at several locations.
Here is a sure sign of spring. The Merrimack Ferry is officially open for the 2019 season. The ferry shuttles vehicles and bikes free of charge across the Wisconsin River between Sauk and Columbia counties. During the season, it operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Last year, the ferry made nearly 47,000 trips and carried almost 240,000 vehicles across the river.
Dana Fulton rejoins us to look at what the next 2 days have in store for us, and it's going to be quite different than what we felt yesterday. This is going to be a little messy.
Absolutely. Now, yesterday and today, of course, we got to enjoy a little bit of sunshine, temperatures well above average. Neither of those two are going to be the case for us for the next few days. We're talking about rain and snow and cooler air for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Our Doppler track right now is pretty quiet in southern Wisconsin, but notice we do have some rain in Iowa and northern Illinois. That's associated with our next system that's well off to the west right now, but is going to be pushing a lot of moisture throughout the plains in the Midwest through the next several days. So this area of low pressure gaining a little bit of steam as it travels down the Rockies. And again, we are expecting just a little bit of everything for us starting tomorrow afternoon in Madison. But it could be a little earlier in the morning for areas in the southwest corner of the state. So right now our skies are becoming mostly cloudy. We'll start the day very overcast near Platteville and Grant County. Early in the morning, your commute will likely be a little slushy. We'll start to see that mixed precipitation early and first in the southwest corner of the state. Heading towards Madison closer to noon, we'll have mixed precipitation first and then snowfall expected throughout much of the afternoon and early evening. But notice that freezing line just cuts right through the Madison area. So we will likely be bouncing back and forth between snow, mix, rain, back to mix, and snow again for several hours through the afternoon and evening. So your evening commute is certainly going to be much slower than usual. Go ahead and plan ahead. Your drive home tomorrow is going to take you just a little longer. By Thursday morning, we're looking at rain, heavy rain at times, and maybe even a few thunderstorms in the afternoon and early evening. By Friday, most of this moisture is off to the east. We may see a few lingering showers Friday morning. Most of it, though, is going to stay into northern Wisconsin, where they'll see just a little more snowfall over the course of this event. We're going to steadily dry up Friday night, and by Saturday, hopefully get a little more sun back in the forecast. So overnight, our temperatures will fall close to freezing. Again, early in the morning, we start to see that rain and mixed precipitation moving into the southwest corner of the state. By noon, we have it sliding right into Madison. And throughout the afternoon and early evening, we continue to deal with that rain, mixed snow, and back and forth between the three. Thursday, we have showers expected, cloudy skies when it's not raining, and those scattered showers are really going to stick with us throughout the afternoon and into the evening. And we may again see some heavier rain at times. There's also the potential for a few thunderstorms there. I'm not concerned about any severe weather, just some heavier rainfall coming through. As far as our expected snowfall totals or accumulation totals, this is for Wednesday night through Friday night. The northern portion of the state could pick up several inches of snow, but in the south, we could see a little bit for Wednesday afternoon and into the early evening. Just north of Madison, 1 to 3 inches expected. Further north for that, 3 to 6 inches possible right around Black River Falls. But our ground is so warm right now, it's really going to take a lot of snowfall coming through to lead to any sort of accumulation. Additionally, the rain coming through after the snow is just going to eat away at anything that's on the ground. We do still have alert days in the forecast for Wednesday and Thursday. That mix on Wednesday really is going to impact your evening commute, and heading into Thursday, on top of the thunderstorms, it's going to be very windy outside. Now, we're talking a lot about the spring system coming through. We do actually have a severe weather seminar for you. You can join us on Saturday. The entire News 3 First Alert team is going to be there for our Dark Skies seminar. We actually are going to have Mr. Uccellini, the director of the National Weather Service, there. It's from 8:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the evening. There's all the information you need at channel3000.com. I encourage you to check it out. Again, you can come hang out with us and learn a little more about severe weather. Overnight low of about 32 tonight. Tomorrow we're looking at a high of 39 and plan on that cool air staying with us for Thursday and Friday. By the weekend, we will have a little sun back in the forecast, though temperatures will stay below average till we get into next week. So it's going to take a little time before we finally get back up into the 50s for us. Thankfully, the snow won't be hanging around for too long. It'll be dissipating fairly quickly.
Can we just stay in bed under the covers for the next 3 days?
Stay inside.
Just an idea.
Right. It's not a bad idea. Actually, it might be a good idea.
get
I have to
through
close
this.
the window. That's what I've had the window open for the last few days.
It's been nice.
It'll be
It's
interesting.
so nice outside. Yep.
Thank
Keep
you.
an eye on it.
All right, Freddie Peralta and the Brewers, well, they dug themselves a little hole out in Anaheim. We'll see if they can get out of it. Highlights next at Sports.
Well, the Brewers starting 22-year-old Freddie Peralta on the mound tonight against Matt Harvey. And, well, Peralta's had some issues in the past, starting off strong, and tonight was back to those woes rearing their ugly head. Angels already up 3-0 in the first. Tommy La Stella just adding insult to injury. That one is fair in right field, a 3-run home run. Angels up 6-0 at that point. Brewers fighting back in the second, starting off with Ben Gamel, RBI double to right field. Right now, they've cut the deficit in half at 6-3 in the third inning. First public glimpse of the new-look Badgers will be this Saturday when spring practice will be open to the public starting at 11:30 in the morning. Now, that's the only chance you'll get this spring because there is no spring game this year. Meanwhile, head coach Paul Chryst says plenty of spots are open during the spring, saying they're not ready for the season, but they don't have to be ready until mid-April, rather. This morning, Coach Chryst said the only way you progress is to make mistakes now so you don't do it when it counts.
You talk about this with the kids all the time, but if it can sting in April like it is, you'd much rather make a mistake in April than in September, October, November. But it's got to sting. You got to learn from it. I appreciate the way guys are working, and we just got to keep learning from it and attacking the spring.
Meanwhile, it's been a busy few days for Aaron Rodgers, if you will. On the radio show Wilde and Tausch on ESPN Milwaukee, Rodgers said he fractured his shin and sprained his MCL in Week 1 against the Chicago Bears, and obviously continued to play, starting 16 games, something he said he is proud of. Now, he did go on to say that he is disappointed in how last season ended, and the concussion he suffered in Week 17 against the Lions was a little scary, not being able to see and losing his vision. But he also said that these conditions were not an excuse for how he played. Looking forward to this upcoming season, a skeleton of Packers preseason schedule made public today, starting with a matchup against J.J. Watt and the Houston Texans at home, followed by a trip to Baltimore. Now, the location of Week 3 against the Raiders is still to be determined, and finishing up by welcoming the Chiefs to Lambeau. Now, exact dates and kickoff times will be determined in the future. Now, this weather has not been ideal for golf at Augusta National. For the second day in a row, play was stopped due to the weather. Today it was lightning, so fans and players had to leave the grounds for a few hours, and it might not get much better because there are storms in the forecast for the weekend in Augusta, Georgia. Now, round 1 starts on Thursday. You can watch the Masters on Saturday and Sunday right here on WISC-TV. Well, an emotional night for former Marquette standout and 3-time NBA champion Dwayne Wade. Tonight, amidst of tributes and fighting back tears, he played in his final home game of his professional career in Miami. The 13-time All-Star put up a game-high 30 points in the win over the 76ers. Now, D-Wade has called this season one last dance, and at the end of every single game so far, he's been swapping jerseys with a player on the opposite team. And tonight, it was Jimmy Butler, another former Marquette Golden Eagle. We'll be right back.
So we, of course, have alert days in the forecast for Wednesday and Thursday. Rain and snow mix starting up around noon in Madison Wednesday afternoon, changing over to rain overnight, and then scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms expected for Thursday, lingering into Friday morning. It's going to be much cooler outside, a little dreary for the next few days, unfortunately. So we'll be keeping a close eye on this storm as we head through the rest of the week.
Get that winter gear back out for the kids as they go off to school.
Yes,
It's going to be a little chilly. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.